Good morning. To those of you in the United States, good morning. It might actually be morning in more places. What's up? I'm DJ Tommy. And it's been a while since I was streaming, so I figured I would crank one out, I guess. That's not what they say, is it? I had to drive into work this morning. It was pouring rain. I stopped at McDonald's on the way home and grabbed a vanilla latte. Normally I would get this from Starbucks, but my Starbucks card needs a reload and I just can't bring myself to put money onto it because for so many years I've only went to Starbucks on business trips, so it's always been paid for by the company. And now that I haven't been on a business trip in a couple years, I don't have Starbucks very often, put it that way. But McDonald's is okay. I've read somewhere that McDonald's is the most drunken coffee in the world. So, yeah, do with that information as you want. Today is about a new piece of gear that I have recently acquired, which is the Amaran Verge Max light, which is shining on me right now. Hubble truffle. Yeah, it's live, buddy. Yeah, so I've been seeing a whole bunch of videos about this thing called the Amaran Verge Max. It's a light. It's an LED light. It's like a pancake style. And it's, 22 inches in diameter. And I bought the $35 grid that goes with it. But the reason I bought this light, two reasons. Really just one. Because I can control it with my Stream Deck. See, so watch this. Hold on. Can I move my Stream Deck into position? No. It's not working. All right, what's happening here? I'm getting an alert from YouTube. I am multi-streaming right now on like 5 different platforms. So that's another thing I'm testing out. Okay, let's try this. I'm trying to figure out. Oh, is this it? Hold on, chat. Okay. So let's see. Thanks, Hubble Truffle. I used to shoot music videos and stuff and do corporate video. And, and then after COVID and stuff, that kind of fizzled out. So I had all this gear and, then podcasting started to blow up. And I didn't do podcasting myself, but what I did was I would produce other people's podcasts. So people that wanted to do a podcast that didn't have the technical background or the gear, I didn't even charge them. I would just say, hey, I got a studio, I got the gear, I got decent internet. So if you want to come over and live stream, or if you want to come over and we can pre-record your podcast. A couple of the guys, they would come down and they would just pre-record their podcast and then they would take it back to their place, do some minor edits and then publish. But for me, I just like to go live. It's so much easier just going live. If you put me in a position where I have to do any editing, editing is pretty hard work, time consuming, and you get into this predicament when you're editing. You want perfection. So it's tough when you're not doing it live. To me, it's harder to not do it live because there's so much work that has to go on behind the scenes. And there's been times before I had this philosophy of just going live, I used to pre-record the podcast, and there would be times where I didn't even put out an episode because as I'm editing, I'm thinking, oh man, like I have these little quirks about me. Like I'm swaying too much, I'm fidgeting too much. Or I just don't like something about the way it looks, or maybe I said something weird, or I'm clearing my throat too much. Who knows? So, when I would edit them, there would be times where I'd record episodes and not even publish them because something would just bother me about it. And then I just got to the point where I would just go live and whatever, it is what it is, right? Is that the saying? And, you just, here it is. Here's me. Here's my podcast. Yeah. And so, no, I don't often have a lot to say, and maybe that's been the case lately. I haven't gone live very often, but I did get this new light, and also I'm testing out. Let me see if I can share this screen real quick. It's this application called Social Stream. And what it does, this application called Social Stream, if you're into like podcasting on multi-channels. So right now I'm going out on YouTube, Kick, Twitch, TikTok, and Rumble. So I'm going out on 5 right now. It brings all the chats into one place. So I don't have to have like a whole bunch of windows open watching the chats. So I can just watch one window called the Social Stream dashboard, and it shows all the chats going on. So yeah, it doesn't let me interact, like chat back. There's other ones that do that. I think like, I can't remember the name, Social Elements or something like that. There's some more fancier ones. And then there's some paid ones like Restream. I am using Restream, but I'm only using Restream for YouTube and TikTok. For Twitch, Kick, and Rumble, I'm just going directly out of OBS using the Atom multi-stream plugin. And right now, I'm my outbound stream looks like it's at 6,300 kbps average. Yeah, so the way I deal with the bandwidth is I use Restream. Really, Restream is not doing much. Restream, because I'm doing a vertical output and a horizontal output, I'm doing 2 outputs to Restream. And then I'm also doing an output to separate outputs, individual outputs to Twitch, Kick, and Rumble. But it looks, let me look at my statistics on OBS. A big thing is like your computer being able to handle it first and foremost. Like you have to have the CPU to handle just your layout. And because I'm doing a horizontal and vertical, I'm doing 2 layouts. You have to look at your render time. Like I watched this guy Nutty, and he's smart dude when it comes to streaming. But his advice was, I think it was him, you want to keep your render time under 16 milliseconds. And so right now my render time is 6.4, 6.6. So I'm well under the frame render time in OBS. So my CPU is not working hard just to create the visual. Now, when it comes to the bandwidth, I have a Spectrum 1 gig service, and I'm actually, surprisingly, I'm on wireless right now. I'm on Wi-Fi on this. I'm using a Mac Studio, but yeah, I just did a speed test before I went live, and my upload speed was like 865 up. And so, which surprised me because I'm on Wi-Fi. Usually on Wi-Fi, it's about half that, which I'm still happy with, because I know I'm not wired. When I'm wired, I'm usually at about 940, 950 up and down. But when I'm wireless, I usually expect to be about 400 to 500 up and down. But when I tested a little while ago, yeah, I was hitting almost 900 through wireless. So that's pretty much how the bandwidth, I guess the combination of my computer can handle 5 streams and my bandwidth on my 1 gig service is able to also accommodate that. But yeah, so it's been working out pretty well. I haven't seen any drop frames and no skipped frames. Like these are all, I'm always like harping over those stats in OBS in the stat doc, just to make sure that nothing is because over time, if you're starting to skip frames, you see where the voice is way mismatched with the moving mouth. So it's kind of like you start looking like an old kung fu movie. But yeah, it's working out pretty well on the doing the five services at once. And on all of them, our channel is technically unsound. I think on TikTok and one other one, it's technically .unsound. But if you just start looking for technically unsound, all one word, then I think 8 out of 10 chance of that being us. But if it's not, then it's going to be technically .unsound. But what I really wanted to talk about was this Amaran light. And I've got I do have it working with my Stream Deck. So that's really the only reason I bought this thing. Let me see if I can share that screen. There we go. On my vertical stream, which is just TikTok right now, I'm not set up to do a split screen with my desktop. But on the other streaming services, I should be able to share my screen. So this is my Stream Deck. And it's kind of hard to see right here, but the very first knob on my Stream Deck Plus, I've now set up as the brightness for the Amaran Verge Max. So as I turn it, I'm going to turn it down. So now it's at 0. It's basically turned off. And now I'm back. And this setting here is at 30%. And the light is about, what is that? It's a little more than an arm's length away. So it's probably about 3 feet away from my face. And then it's just above me, pointed down at an angle. And it does have the grid, so that the reason I have the grid on there is just to keep the white light from hitting all the other walls around me. Otherwise, like my other LEDs will start to lose their effect. But so So this is 30% brightness on the Amaran Max. So if I go a little higher, then it starts to get pretty. So right there is 75%. And now this is 100% brightness. Some people like it bright. I kind of like it on the low side, a little dim. So I'll keep it at 30. Not too bright. And then it also doesn't like glare in my eye. If it gets over 50%, then like out of the corner of my eye, I just see this bright spot and distracts me. I was going to talk about, so yeah, that's the Amaran, and down here, if we go into the buttons that are available. So on the dial, there's a CCT, which I think is the CCT is your color tone, right? If it's going to be like daylight or whatever they call it, that 4100 or 5600 or 6000, the temperature of the light. And I have all my lights at 5300. So that's kind of like my white balance, I guess, 5300. And that's sort of like, I guess that's kind of like a daylight. But if we look at some of these options on the keys of the Amaran, so you can have an on and off button, of course, the intensity, of course, the color temperature. And there's some other buttons here, which I think are for other Amaran lights. This Amaran Verge Max is not an RGB. It's just a white light where you can change the color temperature. So, but if you have a different Amaran light that has RGB, then you can use the Stream Deck to control the RGB color. So you do have some options there. Yeah, so let's see here. I guess I could add an on and off button, but I'm kind of out of buttons. And I don't want to sacrifice any of my other buttons. So I guess if I want to turn it off, I'll just turn the intensity down to 0. And if I want to turn it on, I turn it back up. It does have an on and off switch, a button on it. So it's easy to turn on and off. Oh yeah, we can do that. Temperature change. I'm going to change the button to become a temperature button. Let's see, actually I need to drag it onto so I'm going to take the CCT button and I will drag it. I'm going to replace it. Okay, so now the CCT, okay, well it looks like it's at 5600. What's this checkbox here for? I don't know why there's a checkbox there. But okay, so here we go with the color temperature change. Oh, wow. So now it's at 2700. That's pretty crazy right there. That's very tan. See, and then as I go up, like once you get into like the 4100 range, so this is at 4100. So 4100, you know, it's a pretty saturated look, but it's where it kind of starts to look a little normal. And again, you also have to think about the white balance of your camera. You know, is the white balance of your camera going to match the white balance of your light? So here, this is at 6500, which is still, you know, it's still a decent look. It looks a little desaturated. So I usually bring it down to, yeah, like 5300. So this is 5300 on the light. And then Let me see if I have the, so my camera is an OBSBot Meet 2 webcam. And I have 3 of them set up here. I have one for the guests. So if we go to like my guest screen. So over here, I have another chair and a Sennheiser microphone set up for a guest. And then I have a top-down shot. So this is my top-down shot. So these are all 3 OBSBot Meet 2. And these are just very inexpensive. Well, I guess I'll say relatively inexpensive 4K webcams. They're all USB-C. Yeah, I have 3 set up. I have number 1, I think it's called the down. Oh, it's not letting me. Oh, down, host, and guest. Yeah, so your display, if your display is accurate, I guess your display would need to be accurate. Like you could be seeing something different than what I'm seeing, I guess is the bottom line, right? My monitor, my display is a very cheap Asus monitor that I think I got at Best Buy like 6 years ago. It's a 24-inch screen. It's very small. Well, relatively speaking, I mean, one of my kids has like a 36-inch screen, computer screen, barely fits on her desk. You know, so me having this little 24-inch, you know, in terms of monitors that people have nowadays, you know, people have crazy monitors like 49-inch super wides, curved screens. This is just an old school. This is one that you could probably go to Best Buy right now and buy for like $79. This monitor. So I'm just using, I think I'm using what's called a basic vivid setting. Hey, Hubble Truffle, thanks for the follow, buddy. And I appreciate your questions too, man. Assuming you're a dude. Either way, you know, it's a figure of speech. Yeah, so your display, the display matters. Like, especially if you're trying to portray like some kind of color rendition. Yeah, and I guess, see, so that's the big unknown, right? Like if you have a fancy like Apple Studio display that shows like real life vivid color, you might see me totally different than what I see myself. I don't know if there's a cure for that, like if there's a fix. They do make these little devices, I think they're called like little Xcode devices. And they might even make apps now for your phone where you can like hold your phone in front of your screen and the camera on your phone will do like a little, it'll analyze what it sees. Like it puts up like color bars or something. And then your phone camera analyzes those color bars and it gives you like a score. And it says, okay, your CRI is 80, you know, like a CRI of 80. And I think that stands for color render index or something. And that's kind of like the true to life accuracy score of your display. So if your CRI, like nowadays monitors have really high CRI. I'd have to look at what this CRI is, because I don't have a device to do the to take the score. But yeah, I mean, the more expensive your monitor, I'm guessing the higher the CRI score. And sometimes you'll see a monitor that's super expensive. Like sometimes you look at these Apple monitors and you're like, why are these Apple monitors like $1,800 for like a 32-inch screen. And you can go buy like an LG 32-inch screen for $299. Well, one, it's Apple, and everything on Apple is always overpriced. But two, they do use, like cutting edge technology. Typically, they're going to use like the best quality products, or hopefully, because that's what they make you think. So, they'll have a high CRI score. Like the score of those monitors is going to be putting out true to life color. And I guess you just hope that your viewers are somewhere in the ballpark of what you are kind of putting out there. Like right here on this little top down shot, this is just one of those huge mouse pads. It's like a desktop pad, and it's a very light gray, which I guess pretty much looks like what I'm seeing on my screen. And, so that's a combination of the white balance of my light, the white balance of my camera, and how closely my display is showing, like what's coming from the camera. So it's probably a little wider on my screen than what it is in real life. I could probably tweak that with a little color adjustment on my lights, or maybe even color adjustment on my camera. But really, my monitor, I don't have much control, because like I said, this is a really cheap monitor. So there's really no settings here. I think I'm just using what's called game mode, I think it's game mode or vivid mode. So it's just like, I think I have 3 settings. There's like game mode, movie mode, and like no profile. But it's decent. And yeah, I just hope that it looks decent to my viewers. But I'll just assume that because when you first jumped on, you said I had decent production quality for a channel with no following. So I'll take that as, hopefully it looks decent. It sounds like you're probably into like doing some kind of video production or live streaming. Yep. Thanks again, sir. You know what? I wanted to, let me switch over. Oh, by the way, my microphone. So my microphone here, this is an SE Electronics Dynacaster, and it's got a built-in cloud lifter. They have their own name for it, their built-in cloud lifter. And you can actually buy the cloud lifter module that this uses. It's not called a cloud lifter, but it's by SE Electronics. You can buy the module, and it basically goes in between your XLR cable and wherever you plug your microphone into. Another thing I recently did is I switched all my audio cables to Mogami because I'm also a DJ, and so I have Mogami cables to go from my Rain 1 into my speakers. And I had some extra Mogami cables. So I just decided, I'm only DJing like 6 times a year. So I'm gonna grab some of those Mogami cables, a couple of the extras, and I'm just gonna use them inside in my studio. I don't know if it makes that much of a difference, but it's just one less thing. It's like every little bit of production improvement you can make, is helpful, especially when you think about the streaming services are going to add some type of compression, and they've got their processing that they do. So they could be bringing the quality down a little bit, a few notches here and there. So, but this auto tune device, it's just a toy. It's just a toy. I can push it here. Shaddai. That's all that does. It's just fun. And so I have it in line just in case, like in case I'm ever in the mood to sing a song, then I can just turn it on and start singing. But it doesn't really have any other purpose than that. And I think there might be a little bit of I think it is doing a little bit of something to my microphone. I think my microphone would sound better if it were just plugged directly into my PreSonus audio interface. But that's no fun, right? I wanted to have auto-tune. And so there are auto-tune plugins, but there's this slight delay whenever I'm using a plugin, and I just prefer to be able to hear it in real time. And I always have my headphones so I can hear, like making sure that my microphone's working and that I'm not sounding too weird. Or if there's like background noises that are being caught. Like I just had a fan on earlier because I had to clean up like some cat throw up or something. So I have a fan on my carpet and it was a little noisy. So I had to cut the fan off. So once I'm done, I need to turn that fan back on just to dry that spot up a little more. Let me go back to my screen share on my Stream Deck. There we go. So I have another channel on my big channel on YouTube. My big channel. It's not that big, but we do a podcast about Star Trek. Me and my buddies. And we do that every Sunday night live on YouTube. It's only on YouTube. We tried to expand to TikTok and Twitch, but it's not really the place, I guess, for our audience of Star Trek people. Like if you look at my YouTube analytics, like if you go to my audience, which I'm sharing on the screen right now, like you can see the age group. It's kind of crazy. Like look at first of all, look at the demographics of my Star Trek audience. 96, actually it used to be higher. It used to be like 99% male. But now it's kind of the female audience. Hey, female audience, get in there, females. And then, so 96.2% male. And then if you look at the age demographics, wow, this 13 to 17 year demographic is 2%. I'm actually shocked. It used to be, everything used to be 0 until you got to like the 45 to 54. And then that's where like 40, everything, my whole audience was like 45 years and older. I think the 35 to 44 was like 2%, and then everything else was 0. But yeah, now it's, I mean, I guess we've grown a little bit. We've gotten down into the 25 to 34, a little bit younger, but the surprising stat is the 13 to 17. I can't believe that we've got some 13 to 17 year olds watching about Star Trek. I'm surprised they even know what Star Trek is to be subscribing. So that's kind of cool. I'm actually not sure if these are subscribers or just viewers. Maybe they're just viewers. Oh, it is views. Okay. So our viewers are 96.2% male. I don't know about our subscribers, because you can't really see your subscribers in YouTube. Yeah, the 13 to 17, I mean, because I don't think 13 to 17 year olds are into Star Trek. Star Trek's kind of like, it's kind of old, right? They're having their 60-year anniversary right now. So it's been around a while, but there's some new shows that still come out. Let's see. Yeah, so United States, obviously. Well, 50% of our audience is not the United States. So that's kind of surprising. I figured we'd be much higher, like I figured we'd be 75% United States, but because we're all in the United States. But yeah, interesting stats. And the times, this is what I've been trying to study, this time, this little time chart here of when our viewers are active. See, it's not when people are viewing our channel. That's not how I read this. I'm reading this as when our viewers are active on YouTube. And see, our podcast is every Sunday night at 8 o'clock, which, it's not a peak time for my viewers. So I'm actually considering if we should move our podcast up to maybe 3 or 4 o'clock on Sundays, because that's like right in the kind of the thick of when our viewers are the most active. But it would really just depend on our schedule. And I don't know, we could try it once. If it doesn't make a huge difference, then we'd probably just keep it at 8 o'clock, because we go 8 o'clock on Sunday nights. But, if we bumped it up to maybe 3 or 4 on Sunday, if that made a huge difference, then we might have to consider switching up the live podcast to maybe 3 or 4 on Sunday. Because having an active chat is, it's more fun. Like having more people in the chat, because then you get some good input and feedback and people asking good questions. So let me look at my, I just put up a short the other day. It's doing pretty well. See, this thing with my shorts, the short I put up, when did I put this up? April 15th. What's today, the 18th? So it's going on 3 days now. 245,000 views. 2732 likes. 74 dislikes. I guess that's not a bad ratio. There's always going to be dislikers, but so what we do is every Sunday night we do a podcast. And it's about Star Trek. This whole channel is about Star Trek. Not the channel I'm on right now, but this channel called Technically Trek. It's a Star Trek channel. So I started posting up these little 30 to 60-second clips from the different episodes, or movies. And we exploded after that. Like you can see here, I've got one, I got a short right here that has 2.9 million views. This one has just over 1 million views. Now, the downside of these shorts is you can see here under the restrictions, a couple of these, like this one I posted last week, April 1st, so that's 2 weeks ago. It's only got 21,000 views, so I might actually delete it, but it does have a copyright on it. So we don't get any credit, right? So we don't get any credit for those views. And with shorts, you don't get credit for watch time anyway, so the only thing you get credit for with a short is the view. And you need like millions of views to even make a dent in the, in like the monetization policy and stuff. So with shorts, you're not gonna, sometimes I contemplate the value of a YouTube short. And there is a big negative to YouTube shorts. Everybody thinks about, views, bring people to your channel. But it's not so easy. Like with YouTube shorts, you bring in a certain type of viewer. A shorts viewer is not a podcast viewer. So if you're trying to grow a podcast, don't think that there's going to be this correlation of increasing your subscribers and views using shorts that directly ties to increasing views on your podcast. Because people that watch shorts are typically like TikTok swipers. You know, they just want to watch something for a few seconds and move on. You know, like our podcasts are 90 minutes to 2 hours long. You know, that's not interesting to someone who likes watching YouTube shorts. The most interest they're going to get out of it is maybe 30 seconds worth, and they're swiping away. So I don't know if investing a lot of time in shorts has much of a payoff. You know, there's always the chance though that, you know, one of your new so let's say you put up a short. See, this is a stat I like to look at, and I wish more people would share this, you know, when they talk about growth, channel growth. No one ever shares this kind of information. This short got me 105 subscribers. No one ever shares this kind of analytics. Like, I would like to see people, especially people who are trying to preach growth or teach you how to grow your YouTube channel. They never show this. They never show this kind of stuff. And I'm not the type of person that's trying to tell you how to grow your YouTube channel. You want to see it's 3 million. Well, almost 3 million, I guess. This one was a banger right here. 3,600 subscribers from this one short. That's crazy, huh? 3,600 subscribers from one short. You know what? This video was published on November 27th. And even now, in the last 48 hours, I still got almost 9,000 views from it. A short that was published in November. I'm still getting... See, that's exactly right. So 3 million views got 3,600 subscribers. So 1 out of 1,000 views leads to a sub. Yes. This is what I learned. If you look at our podcast. Let's go to a podcast episode. Here's last Sunday. Right? We got 4 subscribers. 4 subscribers from 503 views, and we got 4 subscribers. So that's about one, just less than 1 for every 100. Right? So, and if we look at other shorts, right? So let's look at, here's the short that I posted 3 days ago. 250,000 views with 105 subscribers. See, so that's less than 1 per 1,000, right? Because if I got 1 per 1,000, I would have 250. So it really just depends, you know? And maybe a lot of people that are viewing this are already subscribed, you know, so there could already be a lot of my subscribers watching this short. So that, I guess that's another thing to keep in mind. As your channel starts to grow, you may get less new subscribers because, you know, depending on how YouTube is putting out your content, because it's always going to start with your subscribers. And then, you know, based on how your subscribers react, see, that's one thing that, yeah, so that's one thing that you have to keep in mind too, is when you have friends and family, like I don't have a lot of friends and family that like Star Trek, but they jump into my stream, you know, to show support. And they might jump in there for a minute, you know, just to say hello in the chat and maybe give me a like. Then they jump out. See, I've always worried that how does the YouTube algorithm react to that? If my own subscriber watches a 90-minute podcast, but they only watch 1 minute of it, does that tell YouTube, dude, your podcast must suck because even your own subscriber is only coming in here for 60 seconds and then they're bailing? Yes, they're giving you a like and maybe that accounts for something. But it's kind of like a mixed, it's like I have a mixed emotion about that. If they didn't watch at all, does that tell YouTube also that your podcast must suck? So at least if they watch for 60 seconds, is that better than nothing? I don't know. I don't know because what that does is that brings down your average view time. Your view duration drops down after that. So is having a low average view duration worse than having less views, right? Like if I only got 100 views on my podcast, but the average view duration was 30 minutes. Yes, I wish they would listen to me. I've actually done that. I've actually said, hey, just start up our podcast, and then go do your housework, go do your chores and stuff, or go to bed, right? Go to sleep. Just leave us on while you're sleeping and, or leave on our podcast playlist. That way you just bang through all the old episodes too while you're asleep. Yeah, it's one of those things where you can't think too much about it, right? If you think too much about it, it'll drive you crazy. But I just wish more people would share these type of analytics. And maybe I'll get in trouble for it. I don't know. Maybe there's some rule against it. But yeah, it's funny too, because it's always the people who are trying to teach you how to improve your YouTube channel, which I think is kind of a scam anyway. Those people who do the videos about how to make your YouTube channel grow, or don't give up on YouTube, just keep going. You know what, guy? Show me your analytics. Show me how you're doing, and if you can show me trends like this, or give me real world expectations, show me how your videos do and how many subscribers you get for a video. It's like if we go back so that video right there got 250,000 views. The previous short I posted only got 21,000 views and I got 6 subscribers. That seems like a huge difference, right? Because instead of 1 per 1,000, this is only 1 per 3,000. So for every 3,000 views, I got 1 new subscriber, right? Well, no, that would be 18,000. So something like that. I'm not good at math, but yeah, so it really varies. But again, these are shorts, like if you go back to live podcast episodes. So if you go to last week, see 629 views and 3 subscribers. Now I will tell you this, I'm way more proud. I feel like it's way more of an accomplishment to get 3 new subscribers from a podcast episode. Because if you subscribe while you're watching our podcast, that means you really must like what we're talking about and kind of like our personalities, because our podcast is really just 3 guys that are goofing around, right? We're just 3 clowns, and we know a little bit about Star Trek. We know enough to talk about it for 90 minutes a week, And yeah, so to get 3 subscribers from an episode of the podcast, well, thankfully there's 2 series that are still current, right? So you got Starfleet Academy, which just had its first season 1. And then you have Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which is going into season 4 coming up this summer. So there's still some new stuff going around. And then, you know, when it comes to Star Trek, people are always just talking about the classic stuff like Picard and Captain Kirk, you know, so there's usually some news to talk about. And then, you know, like when it comes to Star Trek nerds, we'll just talk about like who the, you know, kind of like if you can see this thumbnail here, it's just two girls, right? It's like, I can't blow it up any bigger, but you know, and this girl, like, you know, you can see her nipples through her shirt. We're just guys who, a lot of times we'll just talk about attractive women or things like that. And the conversation can go sideways, you know? So 1 minute we'll be talking about Star Trek, and the next minute we'll just be talking about girls in tight outfits. And they're, you know, we're just three dudes. It's almost like, it's like the locker room at a Star Trek convention or something. You know, we're just talking about that kind of stuff. But yeah, you know, so in the last 28 days, the channel has gotten 585,000 views. 580,000 of those views are probably from shorts. Yeah, I don't know if they have locker rooms I guess you might need a locker room at a Star Trek convention so you can put on your costume if you're into that kind of thing. Yeah. So I guess the Amaran light seems to be working pretty well. Oh, a cat's about to jump on my desk. So I'll probably wrap it up now and go get another cup of coffee since my McDonald's coffee has gone very cold. Okay, well, I'm gonna bounce for now. I might go on later today once one of my guys is awake, and then we'll do like a dual or a quad stream. But thanks, Hubble Truffle. Yeah, thanks for the follow, and we will catch you next time. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, on TikTok